Hey everyone, I'm Ryan at Marine Parts Source, and today in this video, wanted to walk you guys through a really cool project that we recently completed up at our Marine Parts Source Specialty Services facility in Port Huron, Michigan. We had a customer with a 2019 Scout who was looking to get the Seakeeper Ride installed on their boat. Now, the Seakeeper Ride is a really advanced trim tab technology. It uses GPS and a lot of sensors in the software module to help predict the moves of the boat and also be able to adjust quickly to the wake and any waves that you might encounter. It's so advanced, in fact, that it has the potential to actuate up to 100 times per second. So it's adjusting at such a rate that it's barely noticeable to the people on board. Once we sort of had a lay of the land, it was time to take off the old actuators. Basically unbolted the metal plates, and then we needed to make sure we cleaned that surface really well, of course, because we're going to be putting the new Seakeeper Ride plates back on there. And so it's really important to clean that up thoroughly to make sure we get all of that old silicone off and get a nice, smooth, clean surface that we can work with. In a normal trim tab system, you just go through the transom, the wiring and everything for the actuators is pretty accessible. On this boat, it was a little bit different because what Scout had done is they actually had glassed in the transom and the actuators were behind that. So they weren't very accessible. And it was going to require us to actually cut through the fiberglass to be able to access those actuators, disconnect all the wiring. Now there's a 50-50 chance that when we cut into that fiberglass, we were going to find foam. So we decided to use a hole saw to cut about a 4-inch hole into the fiberglass first. And that way we were able to inspect. We sent a camera in to see if we could find any foam. And of course there was foam there. So then it was a matter of just pulling all of that out so that the wiring was easily accessible. With the old trim tab system removed, it was now time to put the new Seakeeper Ride onto the boat. And once we put those on, they're not coming off. So it was really important to get it right. That means we were doing lots and lots of measuring and measuring again, just to make sure that we had everything accurate. You get one shot at putting these on, and we didn't want to mess it up. Each Seakeeper Ride kit comes with an assortment of wedges that you can put together to make sort of a wedge pack for installation of the ride tabs. You don't have to use all the wedges, but you have to get the angle exactly right. Each fit is different and custom, so there's, again, a lot of measuring, a lot of planning that has to happen to make sure you get it right.
So here I have an assembled wedge plate for the Seakeeper Ride. We measured the transom angle yesterday at a variation of 101 to 102 degrees. So now what I'm going to do, this is just kind of a dry fit. I'm going to take these screws out and then we're going to just add a dab of Loctite to it, and then we will torque them to spec, which is at 75 inch-pounds.
So if you don't get the right measurements, the actuator blade may be off, and then you may not get as an efficient or best performance out of the Seakeeper Ride as you would hope for. At this point, we've pretty much established where the mounting of the Seakeeper Ride is going to go. No more measurements are needed. We can get started actually putting some equipment on the boat. If a boat is really new, like 6 months old or newer, then it's pretty important to rough up the gel coat before you start mounting anything. Even though this boat was a few years old, we still found that the condition was such good shape and so like new that we wanted to go ahead and do some sanding as well. Sanding down the transom a little bit, sanding down that gel coat is just going to ensure that the mounting is flush and that the adhesion is really good so that it's going to be secure. But also, when you're grinding the gel coat, that's the point of no return. At this point, it's do or die. When it gets time to do the actual adhesion for the mounting, you need to make sure that you're using stuff that's actually gonna hold and be durable forever. This stuff's gotta be strong. So we used an industrial strength epoxy. It's actually a 2-part epoxy. When you get it on there, it's permanent. It's never coming off. So again, that's why there is no return. There is no going back once you get it on there. And then we used the adhesive really liberally on all the places where it was going to be needed, both on the transom side and on the wedge pack itself. The adhesive cures really quickly, so we had to make sure and work fast during this process. And so as we're putting the wedge pack onto the transom, we're also using a straight edge to make sure that we fine tune any adjustments and get it aligned just right. After we had both sides mounted, we just decided to take a break and step away for 24 hours and let this stuff completely cure. That way we ensure that any fine-tune adjustments that we make later on aren't going to affect the exact location of the wedge packs of the trim tabs. After that, we have to build each tab. That means attaching the motor, attaching the Seakeeper Ride blade, and also making all of the torque specifications. Once the tab is completely built, it's time to check, double check, and triple check all of our measurements to make sure they're exactly right. Then it's time to get all the electrical installed. First, we're going to route the cables through the boat and through the transom. We've got cable glands that the cables are going to pass through. That allows to really tighten down, make a watertight seal so that everything is secure inside the boat, and also the cables are well protected. Next, it was time for us to install the distribution module and the software module, and they have respective places that they have to be mounted. The software module in particular has to be done just right. It goes in a particular part of the boat, and it has to be mounted at an exact certain level because, again, it's going to be using a lot of different sensors to identify the angle and level of the boat in the water. So we had to mimic what the boat would be sitting at, like if it was in the water. So we adjusted the trailer so that it would replicate that type of situation. And then we were able to exactly identify how the module should be installed so we got it the right angle and everything. After that was done, it was time to commission Seakeeper Ride, load it up, make sure that all the configurations were set properly. Again, a pretty complex process. You got to make sure that you get all your settings right. Once all that fine tuning was done, that's when the fun really got started. We got to take it out on the water and do a sea trial. Now, if you've got a special project that you'd like to do on your boat, an upgrade, an overhaul of any sort, give us a call at Marine Parts Source Specialty Services. We're located in Port Huron, Michigan. As always, you can contact Marine Parts Source if you're looking for any parts and equipment for your boat. Really appreciate you watching. Make sure to like and subscribe to our channel. And if you have any comments, make sure and leave them below. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.